on the phone, we're very happy to be joined by Coach Mack. Coach Mack from the U Albany women's team. We were here yesterday, and first of all, thanks for making some time and joining us. I know you're very busy.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Hey, Coach.
You sent out a press release about Pat Summitt and what she means to women's basketball. We just wanted to get you on and kind of honor her and see what kind of effect she had on your life, on your career.
Yeah, like I said, she is a legacy. Not only did she mean everything to girls in general, especially my age players, when we were younger, that's who really revolutionized the game for us. She put women's basketball and college women's basketball on the mat. Back when I was in college, even in high school, Tennessee was the visible team that you got to watch on TV, and that was because of her hard work and the program she put together. And for me as a young player, thinking about coaching, when you thought about coaching and you're a young player and then you get into college and you think about coaching, she's who you idolize. And I think I speak for all women's basketball coaches across the board. Pat Summitt is who we all idolize because, like I said, she was a revolutionary person for our sport, but she's also such a strong female presence in our game. And her legacy will continue to live on, and everybody has a heavy heart. First when we heard the news of her having the dementia, and then, of course, hearing of her passing, that was tough news for everybody.
Coach Mack with us right here on 104.5 The Team, ESPN Radio.
Coach, did you ever have the chance to meet her?
I did. I've actually met her a couple of times. We played the University of Tennessee when I coached at Maryland. We played them in the Virgin Islands, and that was, again, the experience when you're a coach and you're playing Tennessee. It's almost like you're saying, hey, we're playing Coach Pat Summitt.
Yeah.
It's not so much Tennessee. She was Tennessee. They went synonymous with each other. So that was a great experience from a coaching standpoint. And then when I was a young recruiting coordinator at West Virginia University, I met her on the road, and I was so excited that there was an open seat next to her on the court that I also had to evaluate on.
Wow.
So, I sat there and I was trying to pick the right time to not seem too overzealous or, to embarrass myself, but I couldn't wait to introduce myself and just tell her how much she means to the game, and that it was an honor just to sit next to her. And to have that effect on somebody, that's what she did to everybody. And what was cool about that encounter was as soon as I started to speak, she immediately was like, hey, how are you? And acted like she knew me for years.
Yeah. Coach, sorry, go ahead, Coach. I apologize.
No, she made people feel comfortable around her, and I think that's why she goes down in everybody's books as one of the greatest.
Coach of the University of Albany Great Danes, the women's basketball team, Bernabei McNamee. We lovingly call her Coach Mack. We're thrilled to have you on today because you got a chance to meet her. You sat down with her. You have these great memories. What did she do that you still do? Like I always see these legends and like you think about how the game may have passed them by at this point if they were still doing their job. But I don't see any of that for Summitt. What are some of the things you picked up from her coaching that you still use?
Well, I like the fact that she treated her players like people. I got to be around some of her players post playing for her, and when you talk to them, that's one of the things they talk about. She didn't coach through fear, although she had the meanest stare ever when you were in her doghouse. But she coached more through her passion. And her players knew how passionate she was, so they wanted to play hard for her and didn't want to disappoint her. And me as a coach, I kind of want to take that same philosophy when I coach time. That's sort of what I want to do. I'm not going to coach through fear. I want them to know my passion for the game, and I want them to share in it and the joys of winning and play hard because that's what we do to be great, and that's how passionate we are as a program. That's what she got that program to believe and buy into as their coach.
Coach Mack with us, Albany Great Danes. It's interesting because I feel like we're getting to know you better than we would have if this didn't happen. Obviously, we would have rather found a better way to get to know you, Coach. But hearing you speak about here, hearing the passion that you speak about of the game and all that, how do you talk to the girls? How do you talk to the team about losing a legend like Pat Summitt? Do you talk to the team about losing a legend?
You do. You talk to them about it, but, to them, because they grew up in a little bit of a different era, you more so talk about how it's our job to make sure we represent ourselves with great character, because that's what she embodied, and that's why she's a legend. And talking to them more about the character aspect and how, you live each day of your life to make sure you represent what is most important to you. And, life is short, and I think that's what we see in this case, and it can be taken from you at any time, so you got to make the most of every moment.
I looked at her win-loss record and reading a lot about her, and I really couldn't. I looked at it, I'm like, this can't be real. She won more or less 5 times more games than she lost.
It's absolutely unbelievable. I know and that's why I think all coaches want to aspire to have what she did. But again, a lot of people want it. She's that first, person that would constantly say, you got to work for it. She worked hard on the road recruiting. As legendary as she was, you saw her working on the road. She wasn't just sitting there looking good and saying, hey, look at me. She had a notebook out. She was writing. She was a worker.
Some of the stories, too, about her were, in her early days, it was a man's world. And
right.
She had to overcome that whole chauvinistic thing. There was a story that actually Jeff told me that she was practicing in the team on one court, and the male coach came in and said, we need the court. You got to move to another, to a lesser court. And she was like, no, we don't. We're not moving. We're not going anywhere. And those kinds of stories with her show that she really believed that, women's athletics is just as important as men's.
Right. And then you see as times started to change, I think that she was probably in very good company and friends with the men's coaches she worked with. And that's because of that kind of character that we talk about. I think that you treat others like you want to be treated, and she embodied that, just judging by the way she treated me, when I was a young recruiter and nervous to talk to her, how welcoming she was. She presented a lot of challenges to her players, not just basketball, but to be great people.
Coach,
and that's what all coaches want to do with their programs, I believe.
Coach Mack, while we have you here on 104.5 The Team, we appreciate you walking down memory lane and helping us honor Pat Summitt. We're also big-time Great Danes fans. So what can we expect? What are we looking forward to? What are you looking forward to this season for the women Great Danes?
I'm really looking forward to continuing to get to know the players as individuals. I think the product we're going to put on the court is going to be a very exciting, up-tempo style of play. Right now, we have summer workouts, so I'm getting to spend a couple hours a week with them on the court, and we're trying to get over that hump of playing fast but not looking rushed. So those are a couple of hurdles that we're dealing with right now. But as far as the players themselves, I think they're buying in already to what we're doing. I think they definitely have that championship mentality already. So I don't have to build that culture. It's already here. Now I just have to make sure they buy into what we're doing style of play-wise. And they have been. They've been great.
Coach, every time we have Will Brown on, he steers us directly into UFC. Like he literally has yelled at me for asking too many basketball questions. What's your hobby that we have to figure out?
What's my hobby?
Yeah, like he's in love with mixed martial arts. What do you got? What do you got going on?
Oh gosh, I'm going to give the boring answer, but it's so true. My favorite thing to do outside of when I'm working is spending time with my family. So I have an 8 and 9-year-old boy, and
great.
My life outside of coaching basketball kind of revolves around them, to tell you the truth.
That's fantastic. Coach Mack, we appreciate you helping us, remember and really just kind of understand how important Pat Summitt is for me to being growing up a meathead guy where, we got the field over the women's squads a lot of time. It's nice to kind of really understand how important she was.
Well, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to speak on her behalf.
Thank you, Coach.
You come on anytime you want. We love having you on.
Great. Thank you.